everyone, welcome to Lathe and Loom podcast. My name is Cher. This is episode 10, and this podcast is my way of documenting my journey through the fiber arts and sharing a little bit about the makers and farmers and crafters that support us as fiber artists. I thank you very much if you're a returning viewer, and if you're a new viewer, thank you very much for stopping by the channel. If you like the content that you see, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button and maybe like and leave a comment. Let me know what you like about the channel and any feedback, and I'd love to know what you're working on. So today I thought I would just I have a couple of finished objects, and I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of the works in progress and my project progress carried over from 2021, and a few of the things that I am loosely planning for my next projects and into 2022. So we'll get started with finished objects. So my first finished object, if you are a returning viewer, you may recognize. This is the finished and blocked Heart of Glass tee. This is a pattern by Mary Anaralia of Lyrical Knits. Step back here so you can kind of get the full view. So this is a one piece construction. Starts at the top down. You join in the round and then obviously pick up the sleeves. The pattern does have this really nice lace detail, and I'll put a close-up in around the bottom. I'm really pleased with the fit. I did measure my upper bust measurement to work on my sizing. I may be able to adjust a little bit more as I go forward on the shoulders, but my sort of goal loosely for 2022 is to very specifically look at sweater projects and sweater construction and really find the best fitting garments for me. So with this pattern, the only adjustment that I made was to the sleeve. It has a sleeveless version and a kind of like 3/4 sleeve with a ribbed cuff. I just did a full length sleeve, and I added in the lace detail at the sleeve as well, because I really enjoyed knitting it. If you are new to lace knitting, it was a really fun pattern to knit. It's well charted. The pattern is very detailed around sizing, and she's got some good support materials. So I'd really strongly encourage you to check out either this or one of her other patterns. She has some really lovely knits, and I'm sure I will be knitting some more of them in the future. My other finished project, and I talked about this in episode 9, it was actually finished then in blocking, but this is my finished Shawlography. So if you are not familiar, this was the 2021 Westknits Make-Along, or MKAL, and I think I gushed so on several different occasions about just how much I enjoyed the process of knitting this shawl, how much I learned in the detail. From a technique standpoint, I think it really challenged my my knitting skills and really gave me some new things in my knitting repertoire, if you will. I particularly love this welt detail, which I had seen on some sweaters. I think, it really gives you this high-end look. If you can think about maybe doing some welting along a button band or a sleeve cuff, it was a pleasure to knit. Had a little bit of a hiccup with my brioche section, but thankfully had a lifeline in and recovered. I really enjoyed learning how to knit that. And I'm really happy with the color choices that I made, and super happy that I had it as yarn in stash. So bonus win there, right? Whenever we can knit from our stash, as extensive as they may be. So those are my my finished objects. So moving on to works in progress. I have a variety of things, and I had planned to sort of do a whip update in this episode, but I have a number of other things I kind of wanted to talk about from inspiration and spinning. So I will, I think I'll move that to a future episode. So I'm dying to cast on. I have a number of things I'm ready to cast on, but I really wanted to finish this, the Shawlography, and my Comfort Fade Cardi that I've been working on for a period of time. So the Comfort Fade Cardi, I have the body complete. I have one sleeve complete. I love this yarn. I'll talk about that more in a future episode. There's a number of past episodes with that I talk about the various yarns. Mainly this is Fru Valborg and Life in the Long Grass. I am maybe halfway through the second sleeve, and then I just have the shawl collar to go. I am very, very happy with the yarn choice, the color choice, and how the fade is working. I think the fit will be good. I did have to go back on the sleeves. I had both with this sweater and with this one, I had oversized the arm size for the armhole. So that's something I'm going to have to really think about in the construction, you know, as I go forward in future projects. But it's a good learning activity, and between the time and money spent on the knitting and buying of the yarn, you know, I definitely wanted it to be the right fit. So I've ripped out the sleeves a couple of times, but I think I'm well on the path now, and I look forward to getting this one also off the needles. I think I'll have it all in my Ravelry information below for the yarns, and I do try to put very extensive show notes if you're new to the channel. If you hit the drop down under the description, there'll be links to my Ravelry pages, links to anybody that I've talked about, other podcasts, makers, farmers, etc. will be always down below. So so that is kind of my main work in progress. I've got some socks on the needles. I am working on a night shift shawl. I have a hibernated even star shawl. What else do I have going on? Oh, working on the habitation throw. That's sort of my, when I don't feel like focusing or don't want to sit with a chart knitting, I'm really enjoying that. And I did that with a magic ball with a bunch of my leftover minis. So kind of a lot working there. So that's sort of my main focus for my knitting. I have been doing quite a bit of spinning the last couple weeks. I did not bring up, I am working on a spin for socks along with my Wool Mitten podcast. She's running that make along. I did not bring that up, but talked about that in episode 9 as well, I think. But I did do a little bit of a splurge, and I purchased an e-spinner. I've got the Hanson e-spinner. I don't think it'll ever completely replace my wheel, but I love that I can sit comfortably while watching television or something and just quietly spin. It's very quiet. I can sitting back, and I know when I sit with at my wheel, the limitation tends to be how much my back wants to sit on the stool. So I found that I've been quite a bit more productive. The first thing I tried to spin was, I had some really felted wool I tried to dye myself. It was primarily Jacob, maybe a little bit of BFL. And so it's a little felted, so I just kind of did a very chunky spin with it. I'm quite pleased with how it came out. I thought that I would just do it's not like the smoothest, and I don't typically spin really chunky, but I thought maybe a brim of a hat, it would take that texture really very nicely. So that's sort of my thought process there. It's got a nice bit of spring to it. So just generally kind of pleased with the outcome there. I had a sample of some fiber. I think this has maybe a bit of a silk in it that came with my e-spinner. And hopefully this is focusing. I thought I checked a little better on the lighting. Sort of a green and purple. And I'm happy with the sizing on this. I did this as a 2-ply. No, I'm sorry. I did this as a chain ply yarn. And again, just trying to kind of get the feel for the e-spinner and how that works. On my Kromsky Symphony wheel, I tend to default to long draw, so woolen spin. So I've started off more at the e-spinner doing I think I more or less do a short backward draw, but and then I've tried to do a little bit of long draw with it, which I'm kind of getting more adept at as I get used to the spinner. The next thing I did is I have a breed and color study that purchased through Crafty Jacks with the Woolen Spinning podcast group. And it's a series of, I'll try to pop a picture in here, a series of colors, light colors woven into natural Jacob fleece. And so I spun that up, tried to sort of do that as a gradient. And really happy with how that has come together. And you can see it was really light bits of color in with the gray, black, and white Jacob fleece. Very springy. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it has a lot of bounce to it. It's very, very comfortable. I did this as a 2-ply, and I did sort of intentionally mix the colors to get that barber pulling effect in there. So I really like that. And then I think with the other nests, I'm going to spin some solids, color on color. I was debating whether to do a 2-ply or 3-ply, but it's spun up relatively thick, so I'm probably going to stick with a 2-ply for that. So I actually had a couple of evenings that I only spun and did not knit, which is highly unusual for me. So I'm really, really enjoying just kind of the rhythm of the e-spinner. And then since I've been having so much fun spinning, I'm trying to work my way through some of my older fiber stash. I had this, I had purchased a large ball of fiber, and it's this pretty kind of ruby and emerald and sapphire colorway. And I actually forgot to check the fiber content. I will check that below. I believe I got this from Hillside Farms, which is a regional farm here in North Carolina. So I got a nice little bundle of that. I'm really happy with how that punks, and I will put some still photos in as well, so you can kind of see that up more close. But I originally, this can show you how much like you learn as you go. So I bought this fiber. It was a ball about this big, right? I was like, oh, that's got to be a sweater's quantity. I have not weighed it yet, but it has been washed. Clearly not a sweater's quantity. Probably, might get a, contrast color in a yoke or something out of it, but I really like it. I had kind of bought it with in mind to do something for my husband, so perhaps I will find a main color and try to put this into a yoke. I think it would be really pretty. It's very soft and squishy yarn. So that's kind of where I'm at with my my spinning adventure, and really, really enjoying that. So I thought I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are, I've got big cast on itis. I think that was an earlier episode 3 or 4. I cast on a ton of stuff. And so what I've kind of found is that as things sort of percolate in my mind, I'll end up casting on a lot, and then I'll get to a point like I have with these big projects with the Shawlography, the Heart of Glass, and the Comfort Fade, that I'm like, okay, I really have to focus, I'll get these done. And then some of the others sort of fall to the background, depending on what I'm working on. I kind of always keep socks in the background just because it's nice and portable. Usually have one that goes to and from the office with me, one that sits when I don't, when I'll have anything else on my plate for that afternoon. But I've had a number of things I've kind of been working on, had my eye on to cast on, and have over time sort of, be interesting to think whether the yarn came first or the pattern came first, or they just sort of came together. I'll have to think about that maybe as I talk about some of them. But so I thought I would just share a few of those things in case you're looking for some inspiration. And if you've knit any of them, I would love for you to tell me how you like the project and what yarns you use perhaps. Or if you have any of them on your list and you would like to knit them along with me, let me know. We can certainly look at doing some knit-alongs. Might be fun in the community as well. So the first thing I've, and I'm kind of pushing it on a seasonality, but I really want to do something with some cables, and I've had the Spiritual Guardian Cowl by Kat Weaver in my queue for quite some time. I really enjoy Kat's podcast, Heather and Hops. I really appreciate her aesthetic and her designs. So she's a great podcast. If you haven't watched her, I encourage you to check her out. But anyway, so the Spiritual Guardian Cowl, and I will pop a photo in here. So you can see is something that I want to do. And I thought it would just be a nice sort of palette cleanser project after I've done these sweaters, and as I get into my other sweaters, this will give me something sort of portable and a little bit different from socks, and let me work with the cables a bit. The yarn that I have in mind for this, I had been eyeing. This is Ruby and Rose's colorway Velvet, and she had a nice sale as she was getting ready to move. So this is the Rose DK 8-ply Superwash Merino, and the Rose Cloud Baby Surrey Alpaca, 74% Surrey Alpaca and 26% Mulberry Silk. And the pattern does call for the combination of, actually it calls for mohair, I believe, but I think this will go nicely. And I've sort of been stocking this velvet colorway. I think it's so pretty, so that was kind of a little splurge. I didn't really need it, but it was a good opportunity to buy it, and I think it'll be lovely in that cowl. So that is one thing that I think I'm gonna probably, if I can get the sleeve done today, I'll take a pause before I pick up that very large shawl collar, and I will get I will start on the Spiritual Guardian Cowl as one of my next definite projects. From there, I have been, as many of us, I'm sure, definitely feeling the concern and tragedy for the situation in the Ukraine. And I think as knitters in the community, it's really interesting to see the way our community reaches out. So like many of you all, I'm sure, I have tried to look at some of the Ukrainian designers and other fundraisers that some of the knit designers are doing. So in the spirit of that, I have a couple of things that I'm going to look at from a support perspective. I've been wanting to do some mittens. So Kristen Drysdale of Scandaworks is doing a fundraiser with her Olga and Alexi mittens. This is a gorgeous colorwork mitten, and I have some. I probably will do mine with Plotalopi. I absolutely love. These were designed in support of the people from Ukraine. The proceeds from the pattern are going to be donated to the Red Cross of Ukraine. And she talks about in the pattern that the motifs were inspired by Ukraine embroidery that carries happiness and protection against anything bad. And number of other elements, the diamond pattern representing heaven and earth, the dot in the middle, a sown field for healing and spring back, the heart for love, family, and happy family. The flowers in the cuffs are a nod to the Ukrainian national flower, the sunflower. The palm has a field of flowers representing peace. And lastly, the thumb has a man and woman. She named this mitten Olga and Alexi for her friends in Kiev. So I think this is just kind of a wonderful way to, A, stretch my skills as a knitter, and then hopefully provide a little bit of support to the people of Ukraine. I also took a look at, you can search in Ravelry, they've got a way to search by designer, the country of the designer. And I have looked at the Huga cardigan, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna pop the designer's name below. I'm gonna say maybe Ludmila Babinseva. I sorely apologize that I'm completely butchered that, I'm sure. But this pattern is really interesting. It's a 1x1 slipped rib pattern. It does look like it's a one-piece construction. It just looks super cozy, as you can see from some of the photos here. So it's done in a worsted weight. So I will have that as a future project as I kind of work through my cardigan and sweater knits here for 2022. And I'm going to go ahead and purchase that pattern as well. Last year when the Corinne Tomlinson of the Wooly Thistle put out her Victory cardigan pattern, I purchased a kit from the Wooly Thistle. She has a course that you can purchase and have in your library on the Wooly Thistle profile. The pattern, and what I really like about this design is that as she designed the sweater, there was quite a lot of, if you're a watcher of the Shopcast that the Wooly Thistle does, you'll know she talked a lot about the fit and kind of how the things that she ripped back and changed as she went through that process. That's also where I first learned to think about measuring for fit from the upper bust. And so I believe through her course and knitting that cardigan, which is steeked, thankfully, which is nice. So the steek, thankfully, after the steek shawl I did in episode 1 and 2, that does not frighten me. So I'm super happy to try a next steek pattern. So the kit and the design was or pattern was designed for Rama Vams. And so it's 100% Norwegian wool, and it's I think it's a worsted weight. It doesn't actually say on here. This is the colorway 400, and it is 50-gram balls is how that is done. The kit also comes with these really very cool buttons. So they are little thistles. I don't remember if all the kits had the thistle or there were a selection, but so I'm really looking forward to that. I think that design is something that will really help me kind of dial in sizing and fit. She's very good about talking about how to get it to fit your body shape to get really a good fit that you like. So that's on my plans. And then additionally, I have planned for the Richmond Hill pullover. This is a Blue Sky Fibers yarn in their new fingering weight. The pattern is designed by Mary Pranika. So I, out of my last visits to the Knook in nearby Morehead City here, I purchased, this is the Wool Stock Light fingering Blue Sky Fibers. So this is going to be my main colorway, and this is colorway Wild Time. This is actually the colorway that is in the photo, several of the photographs for the sweater. And then these are the contrast colors for the color work. So we've got here spun gold. You can kind of see, I don't know how many of these I can hold up together. Spun gold. We've got rusted roof and Highland fleece. So I'm getting, got 4. Let's see if I can get got 3 more. If I can do that. And this one is Earth Ivy, a little bit lighter green. This is Spring Ice, very beautiful, sort of icy blue. And get it? Yep, last but not least, there is Deep Velvet. So that's sort of the color range there of that. So I think that is just going to be really pretty. And will give me a nice little bit of color work, and then some quick stockinette, and for a you know, a nice lightweight kind of shoulder season pullover. We are deep into North Carolina winters, which means one day it's 80 and one day it's 30. So it's good to have a variety of knit weights there for us for the projects. So let's see. Oh, last one. I have a much bigger list, but I'm going to try to contain it. I did not bring up my yarn. I have some yarn that I've got set aside for the, I think I'm going to do the Antler Pullover by Tin Can Knits, and that yarn is by Sestari. So I'll show that on the next one. But the last one that I brought up to talk about today, Flax Sweater by Tin Can Knits. I'm hoping maybe that I will be able to get the cast on for this at the same time as the knit along being run by Karen of a yarn tale. She's doing a Tin Can Knits knit along. And I've had this one on my mind for a while, again, because I think it's a good basic sweater to think about pattern sizing. They've got good pattern support. They're very size and gender inclusive. So it gives me, you know, some good options there. So this I am planning to knit with the unique worsted. And the last time I was in Morehead City at the Knit Nook, the owner there, Karen, had on her flax that they had done as a shop knit along, and they used self-striping yarn for the sleeve, and I thought that was really, really a neat look. So the two colorways that I have picked out, I have the main color is 4054, and for my contrast self-striping sleeves is colorway 4018, and again, this is in the unique worsted colors. So this will be the sleeve here, and I think I think I have a thing going with this velvet colorway. I could have done that. I think that's going to be just a really nice kind of easy knit pattern, and give me a good basis of construction for for a good pullover type sweater. And I think it's going to be really fun to have the self stripe of those sleeves. So so that's sort of where we're at. So little finishing up of some whips, a few things off the needles and a lot of inspiration planning going on. So I hope that wherever you are, you're doing well. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. I would love to know below if you have any of these projects on your FO list, or if you have any on your project planning list, if you've been interested in doing any of them together. I think that would be really fun. And as always, I'd love to know what you're working on. I do read and respond, or try to respond to every comment, and I thank you very much when you take the time to do that as we grow our channel. It's really helpful, and I'm really grateful for the community that I have here. You can also find me on Instagram as Lathe and Loom, and on Ravelry as Share5413, and those links are also below. So without further ado, I wish you a great day and happy knitting, spinning, dyeing, and weaving. Thanks so much.